Welcome to this explainer. We're going to take a quiet, kind of unsettling look into the invisible machinery of your own mind. It's a place we rarely talk about, right? Yet, we all live there. A place where every single word feels calculated and every interaction is a performance.
Picture this. You're sitting in your car. The party's over, the engine is off, the silence in the cabin is absolutely deafening. You actually had a pretty good time, but right now, you just feel this profound, heavy emptiness. You're entirely drained. It's a bone-deep weariness that a good night's sleep just can't fix.
So, why does simply existing in a room full of people feel like heavy labor? You didn't run a marathon, you literally just stood around and talked. Yet your battery is completely, utterly empty. See, this isn't physical tiredness. It's the total depletion of your deep psychological reserves. You've just spent hours carefully managing exactly how you exist in the world. Which brings us to our first point, the sheer exhaustion of existing. Have you ever felt a secret, almost guilty wave of relief when plans are suddenly canceled? Don't feel bad about it. This dark, quiet feeling is completely normal. It's really just your body's desperate protective mechanism, a biological signal telling you that you're running on empty and you need to hide. You're just craving some time where you don't have to be perceived by anyone. Because when you socialize, you're never just talking. You're navigating a massive, complex maze. Your brain is calculating a million invisible details every single second. It's like a silent, invisible supercomputer just burning through all your energy just to make sure you appear perfectly normal.
These invisible mental calculations, they never stop. You're processing their tone of voice. You're monitoring your own facial expressions. You're filtering your true thoughts so you don't say the wrong thing. You're constantly reading the room. It's a relentless cognitive juggling act. No wonder you're exhausted, right? Your brain is working overtime just to maintain the illusion of ease.
Let's move into our next concept, the invisible audience.
What actually happens to your mind when the conversation suddenly stops? You know, that awkward silence. For a lot of us, a sudden pause is pure panic. Your mind instantly races. Did I say something wrong? Are they judging me right now? The silence feels like a threat. It feels like an accusation just waiting to happen.
In that moment, you assume they're judging you, but realistically, they are likely just thinking about themselves. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. We naturally overestimate how much other people notice our awkward moments. You feel like you're under this harsh, blinding spotlight, but everyone else? They're just standing in their own. They're way too busy worrying about their own performance to heavily critique yours.
But the internal monologue just keeps going. If I say this, what will they think? If I do this, will they reject me? This kind of overthinking taps into a really ancient fear. To our ancestors, social rejection literally meant death. Left out of the tribe, you don't survive. So your brain still reacts to a slight frown as if your life depends on it. A simple miscommunication suddenly feels like an existential threat to your safety.
And that creates an endless, anxious feedback loop. You're rehearsing what to say next, agonizing over a slight pause, anticipating a negative reaction, overanalyzing a brief glance. This compounding, suffocating weight of judgment traps you completely inside your own head. You aren't even in the room anymore. You've become a prisoner of your own hyper-awareness.
That leaves us to the next phase of this dynamic, wearing the social mask.
Think about it. Who are you when the door finally closes? Consider that chilling gap between your highly curated public persona and your totally exhausted private self. Are they even the same person? Or have you carefully engineered a version of yourself exclusively for public consumption?
More often than not, they aren't the same. Out in the world, you curate your face, you adjust your voice, you become a social chameleon. This is known as social camouflaging. It's an automatic defense mechanism. You instinctively twist your personality to blend in, bypass barriers, and just survive the day. You become whatever the room needs you to be.
And the internal logic of it all is just so draining. You tell yourself, I'm going to overemphasize making eye contact just to make this person think I'm not nervous. That is the haunting reality of the mask. It's actively faking normal behaviors. It turns every casual interaction into a calculated, desperate stage play. You're the actor, the director, and, unfortunately, the most brutal critic.
But there's a really heavy cost to keeping up this disguise. You slowly start losing touch with your authentic self. You carry the heavy burden of people-pleasing, dragging around a character that isn't really you. And worst of all, there's that constant, lingering fear of the mask slipping. You survive the interaction, sure, but you slowly erase yourself in the process. The real you just gets buried underneath layers of polite smiles and rehearsed laughter. Now, let's explore a really unsettling paradox, the charisma trap.
What if your charm is actually just a highly evolved defense mechanism? We tend to assume that the most charismatic, well-liked people are totally secure. But often, that social ease, the witty jokes, the likability, it's just a highly refined form of armor. It's designed to keep people pleased, but at a very safe distance. It gives them just enough of a personality so they won't ask to see what's actually underneath.
It's like you're performing stand-up comedy, but with no mic. You're smiling, you're hitting your marks, but you're straining to be heard over the deafening static in your own mind. It's an immense, crushing isolation. Being endlessly praised for a flawless social performance, all while feeling like a complete fraud on the inside. You can be entirely alone in a crowded room.
This is the ultimate trap of being liked. You start believing the affection is purely conditional. You constantly fear you'll be exposed. You assume the real you is unacceptable, so you get trapped by your own success. Your outward confidence is just hiding a fragile, hypervigilant interior. The better you perform, the more trapped you feel, because you can never drop the act. The act is what they love.
Which brings us to our final thought, the never-ending performance.
I want you to ask yourself, are you ever truly relaxed around anyone? Or are you always managing the emotional climate of the room? Eventually, the boundary completely blurs between your performed social self and your actual, true existence. You really start to wonder if there's anything genuine left, or if your entire personality is just a reaction to the people around you. The armor keeps you safe, yes, but it also keeps you from being fully known. It's a haunting tragedy, really. The very performance that protects you from judgment is exactly what isolates you. You manage everyone else's comfort so perfectly that you lose access to your own. So, the next time you're sitting in your car, staring into the quiet after a long day of being around people, think about this. Maybe the reason socializing feels so incredibly exhausting is because your brain never stops performing.